Hi, welcome to Horror Addicts. I'm Daddy Knightmare.
I'm Gory B Movie.
And we just saw The Loneliest Boy in the World.
You are so full of lies. We saw it like days ago.
Well, we saw a little bit ago. But we're now doing a review on it.
Has anyone else seen this movie? I hadn't really heard about this. I thought the poster looked kind of interesting. I haven't heard anybody talking about this, but this is a movie that needs to be talked about.
Yeah, more people should be talking about it. Martin Owen directed it. He also did Let's Be Evil and Killers Anonymous.
The funny thing about this movie, I have to double check the article I read, but I believe it started being made in the 80s. It was a script that had multiple people work on it, one of them being Emilio Estevez. And it's one that a lot of people have wanted to make from time to time, but it's just kind of been passed around. And so it's kind of awesome that it finally got made.
Yeah, it was like in limbo for what, 40 years about?
Pretty much, yeah.
So finally they made it, and they kept it very 80s. It's one of those it gives you like those movies that like a lot of 80s movies feel, where something just kind of happens because a character willed it to happen. They made a wish one night, or, you know, they flipped a coin into a fountain and they were heartbroken, and the next day, magically, things kind of fixed themselves.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of like Teen Witch and those kind of movies.
Or the Mannequin on the Move and stuff like that.
Weird Science.
Yeah, like it just does, like, because.
Just craziness, just because.
Tammy and the T-Rex.
There was one I saw, like a mom for Christmas, where she like made a wish and then the mannequin came to life and was her mom.
Yeah.
For Christmas. It's weird.
It's just one of those feels movies. So I could tell that it does seem like it was written in the 80s. They kept it very much like that. Hey, Kristen Orr and Ariel, welcome back.
Ariel, my girl!
What's up?
I still haven't seen your stream with Tatum. I can't find it. So I would love to see that. Send me a link.
And
I'm gonna look up something like where it is.
So Max Harwood plays Oliver, and he's like this boy, and he witnessed his mom's cartoonic but very violent demise.
The tone is strange.
Yeah, like say that. It was a very silly death, but also a very violent death. And so he went to go stay in a mental facility for a while, and he's finally out, and he's living in her old house, and he hasn't really done much of anything to change her house. So he's kind of got this little old lady trailer house.
Not old lady, just an 80s, like,
yeah.
It's all pink. It's kind of like the house he had to go to in
he's got
Chucky, Child's Play 2.
He's got a Nintendo Famicom, though. That's rad. He kind of just hangs out there and eats frozen pizza like almost every day, it seems like. Because the only time he like leaves to go to the store is to buy a bunch of frozen pizzas and then come back. So it's basically his life. He's got a couple of social workers, though, and they're basically kind of determining if he should be living there by himself or if he should go back to the home.
Oh, this live stream was blocked by YouTube?
What?
Is it?
What are you talking about?
I don't know. I'm kind of concerned now.
I hope not. I mean, they're watching us.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm confused.
I don't know. Hopefully not.
No, it's there.
Oh.
So if you guys want to see this,
her live stream maybe.
oh, I'm sorry. That's a bummer.
Maybe
That's
she
a
meant-
real bummer.
Maybe she meant
The
her
one
live-
she was on with Tatum. That's a bummer. I wanted to see that.
Oh.
Nuts. I know. I used to be subscribed to Tatum, and her channel got blocked. So that's unfortunate. If you want to see this movie, we saw it on Amazon. We just rented it, but you can also get it on Vudu or Apple TV.
Yeah.
Or YouTube.
Hoopla.
Hoopla. Hoopla is like kind of like running it from the library.
Yeah. So it's kind of hard to find, and a lot of people haven't been talking about it, but I'm just gonna straight up say right now, yeah, I think you should see it. You should definitely. It's very much a trip. But yeah, anyway, so Oliver's kind of just hanging out, and these social workers are kind of undecided if he should live alone. One of them, she's really for him, kind of it, but the other guy's very skeptical.
Yeah, one's played by Ashley Benson, who was in Pretty Little Liars.
Yeah, about the only guy.
She was in Ratter.
Yeah,
a horror movie.
Recognizable person that I recognized, but it's still cool. The cast is very quirky. I wouldn't say they're all like great, but maybe they are because they're doing quirky on purpose.
What's really strange about this movie is you get kind of an odd tone. Like I got very much an Ed Gein starring on Alf vibe. And if that sounds weird, that this movie's weird.
They do talk about Alf.
Yeah, he's really obsessed with Alf. It has that very 80s sitcom, that kind of 80s, bizarre ride feel, but it has a lot of serious things in it. Like his mother dies due to a horrible accident, and yet it's got this very campy tone. And the kid reminds me a lot of like a 80s campy version of like Ed Gein, the guy that they based like Psycho on. He's very obsessed with his mother, like, kind of like a Norman Bates type character, basically.
Still goes to her grave and talks to her. And basically the social workers kind of insist that he should get friends and maybe do some more socializing.
Well, they threaten that if he doesn't, he'll get sent back to this institution he's been staying at.
Like, they kind of have like a good cop, bad cop vibe. One of them's really for him being there and trying to help him. The other one's like, I think the nutbag should go back. It's like, whoa.
And then you cut to this airline, where most of the characters you see there on the poster are on there.
Yeah.
One's a little girl with her mom who's choking on a chicken bone, kicking the seat of this woman in like her late 20s, early 30s. And then there's like a drunk guy.
Yeah, there's a guy who's drunk. And they're on a plane that's crashing, and that plane takes out like the local jock sports hero as well. Like, who's in his car. But
yeah.
He lives in a like kind of a trailery park place out of town, but this happens.
The
in
main
town.
guy.
Yeah, Oliver lives out of town, but they're like right in town when this
But
happens.
the guy they hit with the plane, he is like the most beloved person in town. He's essentially Ben Tramer.
Yeah, he's great. Everybody thinks he's cool. He was everybody's friend.
That's what they say at his funeral. And this kid, he's not quite, he doesn't quite seem to fully grasp things in the way that I would say majority people would, which is fine. We all experience the world in different ways. Yeah. But it's interesting because it's certainly not how I experience the world. Yeah. So I was really fascinated in this character, the decisions he was making. And so he processes this as, well, he was everybody's friend. He's my friend.
Yeah.
So he digs up this kid and brings him back to his house. And you have this rotting corpse in his house that he is now talking to. Yeah.
Playing Famicom with, watching Alf with, kind of just hanging out with. He also met a girl, but she's also a little quirky, and she had to run off because he was, like, some things were weird. He has bullies, but he also is friends with the people who work at the cemetery, even though I don't think he realizes they're his friends. They're nice to him.
They're very nice to him.
They talk to him, they play around, but they're basically his friends. But it's funny because he's looking for a friend, and the kid who's everybody's friend's funeral, he decides that'll be my friend then.
So then the social workers come back, and now they're saying, like, oh, you have a friend. Like, one of them's really hopeful. The other one's kind of like, yeah, I'm not really buying it. There's something wrong here. And she says something about, like, or somebody says something to him.
The American dream is, like, just to have a nice family. Like, basically what he's seeing on TV with Alf. Like, they're, like, an awesome family, but they have a little secret they gotta hide, which is Alf. And therefore he's like, okay, so the next step is to get a family. He hears about all the people being buried because business is booming since that plane crashed in the graveyard. they're just burying everybody. But he's like, all right, well, little girl would be a good sister, the lady would be a good mom, and like that drunk guy would be a good dad. So he digs them all up.
And that's why this gives me Ed Gein vibes, because Ed Gein, I mean, he is known as the guy Silence of the Lambs and Psycho and all these things. He is known as the Butcher of Plainsville, but honestly, he didn't actually kill that many people. Yes, there was like furniture and stuff made out of people's skin, but these were people he dug up from the graveyard. He mostly was a grave robber. Yes, he did kill people, but most of the bodies were people who had already died that he didn't actually kill.
And he had a very messed up relationship with his mom
exactly.
as well.
So this gives me like a 80s wow version of Ed Gein, which is so bizarre. It's so bizarre.
Like a charming 80s gloss on it, you know.
So then not only does he bring these people back, but then he goes to sleep. And the very next day, this is where it gets weird. The very next day, they are not only alive, they are treating him like he is their family. You know, and the one guy, like, he is his best friend. And they are a perfect, happy sitcom family, complete with zombie dog. Yeah. They're still decaying and stuff, so hijinks ensue. But it is a lot like, I think that's why they show Alf so much, because Alf, they are a happy family, but they have to hide Alf, because otherwise it would be like E.T. and he'd be investigated and likely, you know, autopsied. So in this, he has to hide his zombie family, but like, you know, the mom and dad, you know, they dance in the kitchen, and his sister's always playing little jokes and stuff. His new best friend is giving him advice on girls.
Yeah, because he's got that girl that he's kind of interested in. And, you know, so he gets advice on what to do, like with her, some advice and help with bullies as well. It's just like, yeah, it's a coming of age fantasy with zombies.
I will say, you know, for me, like, I'm not 100% on saying you should see it. I do like a lot of what's going on here. One of the biggest problems for me is the whole movie. I was like, so what is going on here? Is he either A, crazy? You know, is he actually just talking to dead bodies and he's thinking that they're responding? I thought about that. Are they actually alive? And if so, why? Because he never actually makes a wish. Like in the 80s movies, that is an important part of those 80s movies, is the part where they make the experiment. They make the wish. They put the coin in the fountain. This movie needed that. Because instead of enjoying the craziness, a lot of it, I was just like, well, what exactly is going on here? Like I was really, it bugged me. It made it to where I couldn't quite enjoy it because I you know, you don't want to have the rug pulled out from under you to find out that it's all like a dream or something. So I'm trying to figure it out. The other thing that bothered me is we're introduced to all these characters, most of them on a plane. They are not a family. Mm-hmm. You know, they're part of individual families. They've died. And it seemed like these characters only existed to support this main character, which I'll be honest, he's not that interesting. He's a little off. He, you know, at first I was really interested in him, but it never went anywhere. It never developed. There was no arc of exploring his character. He's just kind of the same throughout the movie, only he just gets more at the end. But it was really hard to invest in him. And so these people, like this woman is on a plane going somewhere, maybe a job interview, maybe to visit family. This man is on there drunk. I don't know why. Little girl, you know, is with her mom.
She was annoying, but then started choking as the plane started to crash.
These people had lives. You know, that one guy was the most popular guy in town. Maybe he had a girlfriend or something. And they have either no memory or they just don't care about their lives. All they care about is making sure this kid's happy. And so it's got that kind of best friend syndrome where it's not a character, it's a support to the main character. And unfortunately, the main character is just not interesting enough to deserve it.
I think it's more like a Halloween miracle because it does take place on Halloween. So,
and there's absolutely parts in this I like. That's why for me, I would say this is like a 2.5 star. I would say I'm not recommending it. I'm giving this what I would call a proceed with caution. Like it's definitely not going to be for everyone. I think a lot of people are really going to dislike this movie. It's not a mainstream movie. I think there's a lot of people who are going to love this movie because it's so quirky. It's going to be very divisive. So it's kind of something that you need to ask yourself. Do you like really quirky movies, you know? Yeah. Do you need a lot of character depth or do you, you know, it's based on what we're saying, if it sounds like your kind of thing, then give it a shot. If it sounds weird to you already, trust me, it's way more weird. I would skip it.
I'm mostly just saying see it because I don't think you're going to see a lot of movies that are this weird and out there. you will like experience something new. You might not like it, but you're gonna experience something different.
Not everybody's like us, though, where they
I
want to
know.
connoisseur
I
all
know.
the horror and try a little bit of like you and me. We're kind of like, ooh, a buffet, that's different. I'll try that. Some
I like
people
different
don't want to
stuff.
waste their time watching a movie they're not going to enjoy. And so I will say, like, I know Zigma in the chat, you would hate this. Don't watch it.
But oh, that's pretty much it. I'm not gonna tell you. We're gonna leave the spoilers out of like other than what we've told you.
I don't think we need to spoil anything. I don't
Any
think
more
it
than that.
benefits the movie. But yeah, I was really hoping for a little bit. There are some scenes I really like not going deep into spoilers, but they played the Ghostbusters song, which is fun. It's also really cute when the family gets to enjoy Halloween because then they
Yeah.
can be with him.
Yeah, they get to
And-
walk around and everybody sees them like, but they think they're just costumes. So.
That was part that I really liked because everybody here is kind of a weirdo. Either they're a zombie or they feel like a misfit. Even the girlfriend feels like she doesn't quite fit in. And on Halloween, everyone kind of feels like they belong.
Yeah.
Which is something I relate to. I feel like Halloween's the one time of year I can dress how I dress, and people are like, "Oh, that's cute."
Yeah.
Because this time of year they're not so much into spiders and cats and bats.
But yeah, I mean, what's at stake, I guess, is that he might lose his house and have to move back in. And there's one of them, like I said, is really investigating him and trying to make sure that happens. He wants to find out what's going on. He's also got some bullies who are really mean to him and always like threatening to like, "We're gonna have a party at your house." And he's like, "Will I be invited?" And they're like, "Maybe." But I mean, there's a little bit of turmoil, but for the most part, it's just kind of a kid coming out of his shell.
I would have liked some more, just like I said, like emotional stakes. They really care about this kid, but we never really know why. Like it also kind of reminded me of a movie from the 80s called Heart and Soul, where this kid played by Robert Downey Jr. has these 4 people who are his guardian angels. So there's a very clear reason why these 4 people care about this kid, and they are eventually, as an adult, they help him find love, and that's what they need to kind of be at rest because they've been watching over him since they were children. Like that would have made sense to me. Like I needed something more. And you may not need that. Danny didn't need that. You know, we're all different in what we need to enjoy a movie. For this, I really wanted to know, why are they so invested in helping this kid? Does it help them in some way? He needs them to keep his house. What do they get out of this? Do they get some magical reward in the afterlife? You know, I was just a little confused.
I feel like a lot of 80s movies kind of pulled that on me, and I didn't really care most of the time.
Fair enough.
So,
like I said, it was just barely missed the mark for me.
Yeah. It's very quirky, so it's definitely not going to be for everybody, but I love the color schemes. I dig the soundtrack.
This is coming from a girl who loves Greasy Strangler and Head and Louder, so
Insanely quirky.
it's not that I don't like quirky and weird. This just wasn't the quite the quirky and weird for me.
Yeah.
It may be for you though. I think there's a lot of value here. I love the visuals. I love the music. I think the performances were really, really good. There's just some story elements there that, you know, I might even enjoy more on a rewatch. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oops.
But it's you know, it's got more comedic gore. There is some gore, there's some violence, but it's usually played kind of for comedy. So all I can say is don't keep your lawn gnomes close to your pool, and you know, make sure you Febreze the house when you got your dead friends over. But I say recommend it.
So I do think, you know, and I feel like I've gone kind of hard on this movie. I don't want you to get the impression that it doesn't have any value. I think there's some really good messages in here about how even if you feel like you're alone, like you can find a family. You know, your
you
family.
dig 'em up.
Exactly. You might dig them up. You might find that your family is your pets. Your family is your best friends. Your family is whoever makes you feel like home. You know, and that can be anything that makes you feel like home. And I feel like this movie is kind of about when you feel like you've lost your family, where do you go?
Yeah.
You know, and is it possible to find home again? You know, and he gets to keep his home through these people, but he gets guidance and he gets support and he gets unconditional love, which is what family is all about.
But like I said, there's forces working against him as well, and I'm not going to tell you if it all works out for Oliver. You'll have to watch it yourself to find out.
You know what it reminds me of tonally? Again, I'm pulling up really obscure movies. I don't know if this is helping you. Tonally, it reminds me a lot of A Life Less Ordinary. That was a movie in the 90s with Cameron Diaz. If that's your kind of movie, this is 100% up your alley.
Yeah. Zigma says it should have had a Ernest. Ariel
Every
says
movie
it
should have
sounds
Ernest.
like Merlin in the Shop of Mystical Wonders. I didn't get that vibe, but I know what you're talking about, Ariel, and I do like that movie.
I mean,
It's
I
very
know
quirky.
these guys in the chat Not sure about how Christian will feel about it, but I don't think Zigma will like it. I do think Ariel will like it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I try to personalize these recommendations so you know that, hey, it doesn't matter if it's for me. It might be for you. You might love it. And I think Ariel will actually really enjoy this.
I give it a see it just because I think this movie should be talked about more and no one's really talking about it, and I think it should be given a chance.
And I love the passion put into this.
Yeah, so that's
it
why
it deserves to be seen.
That's why I say see it. It's not gonna be for everybody, but check it out. Hopefully you like it.
I give it a proceed with caution.
Yeah. Anyways, thanks for watching. Until next time. Cut.
Scissor me, daddy ass.
Scissor me. We're gonna do 2 more movie reviews tomorrow night, so come back in for 7 and 8 o'clock tomorrow.
Awesome. Bye, guys.